Hi everyone, my name's Traynor. I'm the architect for House, based in the Northwest, and I'm talking today with Natalie Holden. She's an interior designer and she's just in the box next to me. Hi Natalie. Natalie's company is Natalie Holden Interiors, and today we thought we'd do a little bit of a question and answer session, which would be helpful for yourselves if you're a homeowner, if you're thinking of redecorating or extending your home. We're going to answer some common questions that come up from an architect and an interior designer's perspective. But do you want to say a little bit about what you do just before we start, Natalie?
Yeah, so I'm an interior designer and I work mainly on residential projects, but I also work with developers as well on new build show homes. I do a little bit of other, commercial work as well, but the main bulk is residential.
Yeah. So that's where sort of we fit in together, because that's what I do. I just do domestic residential work. So that is like house extensions, loft conversions, knock-throughs, open plan kitchen diners, garage conversions, anything to do with extending or refurbishing your home, basically. So we work together quite a bit, don't we?
Yeah.
So today we're going to ask some questions around house extensions, because that is a big one for people and obviously something that we work on a lot. So I have some questions to ask you. So I've got a general question to start with about decorating your home, really. So I was just wondering, for people out there thinking of redecorating their home, what's a good way to introduce colour into your home if you're nervous about getting it wrong? How would you go about injecting some life into your colour scheme?
Yeah, well, colour is something I absolutely love. And I know it is a very scary subject sometimes when I speak to clients. They're a little bit scared of getting it wrong. And I think it all comes down to the fear of making a mistake. A lot of clients have saved up a lot of money. It's their life savings that they're investing in a refurbishment. So they don't want to have to do it again.
No.
So, it's understandable to have that fear. But what I generally say to clients is an easy way to bring in a bit of colour without having to go over the top is to introduce colour in small bits, small pops, and do it in the things that you can easily change as well. So, rather than, painting your whole room like a really bold blue, which is, it's quite a statement thing to do. Instead of bringing, say, the colour blue through your walls or in the furniture, which is going to cost a lot of money to redo, what I generally say is bring in the colour in the accessories, the artwork, cushions, vases, throws, things that are more affordable to change, and you can just experiment with it a little bit and just do one thing at a time. You don't have to buy everything in one go. You can just to start with, you can just buy one poster for your wall. For artwork, you don't even need to invest a lot of money in a really expensive piece of artwork. It can just be a print. You can get prints as cheap as £20 or £30. Just by doing it in steps, in small stages, and in the things that you can easily change.
I think that's really helpful advice, especially for where people are nervous about getting the colour scheme wrong, because there's a bit less commitment in doing what you just suggested, really. Okay.
And they're those type of things that you can buy off the shelf as well. They're things that you can return. So, for example, if you buy, a cushion or a selection of cushions, you can try it out on your sofa. And if they don't look right, you just send them back. Whereas, if you're going to invest in a piece of soap, a piece of furniture which is made to order, that's something that you can't return. So.
Yeah. So do you have any house extension related questions for me then?
Yeah. So Oh, let me just get my questions. Oh yeah, okay. So my first one is, how does an architect get involved with a house extension project?
That's a good question. So an architect gets involved from the beginning of a house extension project, and the role of an architect is to help you throughout the whole process, really. So in the first instance, it's really helpful to get an architect on board to test if your own design ideas are feasible. So in the first instance, normally when I come to a project, we start by doing a measured survey of a client's house. Then we've got a set of existing drawings, and an architect will assess what your needs are, in terms of the programme of spaces for your home. So do you need more living space? Do you need a utility room? Do you need an extra bathroom? Does that bathroom need to be upstairs or downstairs? Are you looking for an open plan kitchen, living, dining area, or do you want separate spaces? So you will have your ideas of like how you want to achieve the needs for your home, how you want to get that open plan space, or where you want to put the utility or downstairs loo. And with an architect will try to challenge a little bit what your own design ideas are for the home, but based all around what you need, what spaces you need. So you might think, I think we should extend to the side to make the kitchen bigger, but perhaps another option would be to extend to the rear, and that might give you a better shape space, maybe more light, there may be less issues with the neighbours, things like this. So it's all, the design process is all around like your needs and wishes for a house extension. We would always start by drawing up, what is it that you're thinking of doing at the moment, and then we'd see any other different options. So once you've done that, you can sort of assess which is my favourite design idea, what would be the best for my home, and then you can start getting prices from builders for that. So that assesses, is it feasible, is it affordable? And once you've kind of assessed that, then an architect will get the drawings prepared for a planning application. They'll be able to submit a building regulations application too, and maybe project manage it on site as well. Some architects don't do project management. We do offer a service where we do project management as well. So that can take some of the stress out of dealing with a builder as well. So yeah, an architect is helpful from start to finish, from the beginning to the end of your project. An architect should be there to sort of help and guide you through the complexities of designing and also building a house extension. Yeah,
oh, that's great. It's such a complex process, isn't it? And it can be quite overwhelming for clients. They just don't know where to start because there's so many decisions to make.
Right, so, yeah, there's a lot of decisions to make, and also there's a lot of other professionals that need to get involved as well, like a structural engineer, the building inspector, and also the local council as well for planning permission. So if you've never done building work before, it can be a lot to navigate through if you don't know your way. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so I have another question for you. Let me just have a look at my notes.
Can you read my mug? Or is it back to front?
Keeping myself and my plants alive. Yes, I can read it.
And inside the mug, it's got terracotta.
Oh, that's sweet. Well. Oh, it's all very coordinated with what's going on behind you.
We had to actually buy new plants last week because all of the plants died.
Oh no, did they? Oh.
So these are all fresh now.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
Mm.
I've got a couple of plants in my room, and because I've been spending a bit more time indoors, I've been watering them a bit more. So they've kind of like come to life. They've got like a new lease of life. One of them, before the leaves were all like limp, but now it's like stretching out. It's just like doing a bit of yoga in my plants. It looks nice and healthy now. Okay, so my next question to you then is, at what point should you get an interior designer involved in a project?
Okay, so this is a bit of a myth. Like, it kind of links to what people think interior designers do. A lot of people think that an interior designer just gets involved at the very end after the build's been complete, and they're just there to, put the finishing touches in. But actually, it's so important to get the interior designer involved at the very early stages, just because there's so many things that have to be made at the early stage that will impact and influence what you can do with the design at the very end. So, for example, the heating, the lighting, the electrical socket locations, all of those things are going to really impact on what your furniture layout is going to be, or what it will be, how it will be most functional. So it's so key to get an interior designer involved early on. It's going to probably cost you the same amount of money, because it's just little things that they have to be involved in, throughout the process. And it could just be a 2-hour meeting, at the very, very beginning. But yeah, as soon as possible, I would say. An example of where projects have been most successful with less hiccups, the ones that I've been involved in, the client have got me involved before the planning application has been submitted, just so that things can be reviewed from an interior design perspective, and then those little things can be tweaked and changed, and it'll cost less money overall to do prior to planning than having to do it afterwards.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was just going to mention as well, was that by getting things coordinated with the different team members, like your architect, your interior designer, your structural engineer, etc., early on, although you might spend more money initially on engaging professionals, overall you're probably going to save yourself money, because you're not undoing any things that didn't coordinate properly, or you're spending less time on the later stages by sort of doing it properly the first time, from the word go.
And also it's not just a money thing, it's a finish and an aesthetic thing and a functional it's all of those things tied together.
It is,
you'll get a better finish overall, because everything will coordinate with each other and it'll work better together.
I agree.
Think
Definitely.
about it all early on.
Yeah.
So shall I ask you my next question then?
Yes. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Okay, so this is a really, really good question, I think, because it's a hard one as well. So sorry for putting you on the spot, because I find this is the part of a project which becomes quite often a headache.
Yeah.
So so how would you typically budget for a project, an extension project, and would you allocate funds for the interior finishes and all of the things that go in at the very end? If you do budget for that, how do you work out how much percentage of the overall budget would you allocate to the interior?
Wow, yeah, that is a hard question. But it is a really practical question as well, and it is something that people should ask themselves sort of first off when you're starting a project. So typically, like generally speaking, for a house extension project, I would normally to give yourself a ballpark idea of how much a house extension is going to cost, you should normally, like construction industry standard, is about £1,500 per metre squared for anything that is newly built. So where you are extending if you know, roughly speaking, the area that you want to extend in metres squared, you times that by 1,500 and then times that amount by 1.2 for VAT. That should give you like a rough ballpark figure of how much that part will be to construct to like sort of a plastered, skimmed, electrics in sort of finish. For anything that you are like refurbishing inside, you should also add probably about £750 per metre squared. So if you're knocking through anything, you're changing the floor and you're putting, maybe swapping some of the utilities around, changing where your gas is for the kitchen or something like that, you're looking around those two figures for anything that's new and anything that's being refurbished. So they will sort of give you a ballpark figure, but then there are other things that do increase the cost that you should take into consideration. So bifolding doors, that adds cost to a project because they can be quite expensive. So normally I would say budget about £1,000 per leaf for a bifolding door. If you are knocking through a span of wall that is more than 5 metres, that might require a larger steel if you don't want to have like a column in the middle of the room. So you maybe want to think of budgeting somewhere like about £1,000 per metre extra, something like that. If you're building over drains, that is also going to add cost as well. So you can get like a ballpark idea of roughly how much your extension is going to cost from speaking to an architect and seeing what elements of the concept design might incur cost. But obviously also then you can, if you've got some plans, you can ask a builder for ballpark figures or several builders that will give you sort of a more definitive idea of cost. And, concerning like budgeting for your overall finishes and interiors, I think that is an important thing that people should budget for at the beginning. Because it can be something that is forgotten. You can maybe build a space, maybe have the kitchen fitted, but if you do want to like decorate that space, make it your own with colours, lighting, special furniture, flooring, then sometimes people find at the end of a project there's maybe nothing left in the budget to do all those nice things, add all those finishing touches that they wanted. So it's really important to think of that early on. Now some projects maybe it's urgent that you need the space, but maybe the interior design is something that you could live without for the time being. So it depends what people's priorities are. Can you live without your new space being perfect for, another 6 months whilst you save to do the interior as you want it? Or is it a priority to, get the space all done and nice, for example, for Christmas, so you can have everybody round and enjoy your new space and entertain and everything. What exactly is the percentage that you want to budget for the interior is a difficult question for me to answer, and it will depend on your desires for like what type of furniture and fixtures and fittings that you're looking for. Are you looking for really high spec furniture and lighting and everything, or are you looking for a medium spec or maybe even a low spec? So that will sort of dictate costs.
Yeah. And I think it's like interesting though for you to say, like, it's hard to, to guide on the percentage, because at the end of the day, there are so many different price points for products that you know, you can get a sofa from IKEA for like, I don't know, £500, but then you could get a sofa from Natalie for like £7,000.
That's it.
So it's like there's such a big difference, isn't there, on price points for products? And I think a lot of the time customers don't really want to. Well, I find a lot of clients don't want to let you know the budget, because they think that by giving you a budget you're going to spend all of that money.
Right.
But I think it's kind of like it's so important to know a budget, or even like a range, so you've got an idea of how you design the space, and that you're going down the right direction.
That's it.
So it's a hard one, isn't it, to navigate, because I think a lot of the time clients don't know what things are going to cost, but at the same time they've got an idea of how they want it to look, and they don't know how much money to allocate towards it.
I think understanding the budget in the first instance is really important, because like certainly from an architect's perspective, so that I'm not designing something that is well over budget, or you know, sometimes I might go and see somebody and they say they've got £15,000 to build an extension, so I'll have to, you know, break the news to them that it's probably not going to build them an extension, but there might be other things that we could do. So understanding the budget is really important from that point of view, because you can sort of gauge what is possible, and you know, rein the design into those constraints. It just gives you a box to work in, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Okie doke. So was that, we've answered all our questions, haven't we, that we wanted to for this section?
Let's see.
We've had 2 questions each there, haven't we?
When should you get? Yeah, we have.
Yeah. Well, that was really enjoyable, interesting. Hopefully interesting and informative for anybody watching. If anybody's watching, you can give us a thumbs up, or write any comments, or if you've got any questions for me or Natalie, you can just write them in the comment section below, and we'll try and get back to you. If you want to find out more about House Architect or Natalie Holden Interiors, we'll put a little link in the description to both of our Facebook pages and our websites as well. So thanks for watching. If you tuned in, nice to speak to you, Natalie.
Yeah, nice to see you as well.
Yeah, and
even though it's not in person, it's nice to see face for someone different.
It's actually quite surprising how much it just feels like a normal chat, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny actually seeing us both side by side as well. It's like,
I know,
we're in the same space, but we're not actually. Okay, well, we're going to do probably another talk like this sometime soon. So stay tuned if you want to see more. See you soon. Bye now. Bye.
Bye.